Mr. Fix-It with the Bed Shed Kilbeggan. Need a new bed or mattress? Our helpful and experienced team will be only too happy to guide you to the best choice for you. Find the Bed Shed on Facebook and Instagram.
Hello, Oakley. How are you today?
I'm fantastic.
Did you expect a warm welcome?
Not really.
After 30 years, you'd probably be wise. How busy are you for Christmas at the moment?
Really busy.
What sort of hardware gifts are popular? That's not a trick question.
No,
you thought I was going somewhere with this.
I thought you were going somewhere with that. Probably the single most popular thing would be the little multi-tool. So there's a little fold-up multi-tool. It's Stanley. Well, loads of people do them. Brand called Leatherman do them, but they're 100 and something quid.
What?
Yes. And then
It'd want to last forever.
Yeah, and Stanley do a copy that to me looks identical for, I can't remember, 20 quid, something like that. And they're like the Swiss Army penknife, except they also have pliers and they have more tools. And that's a very popular one, I have to say. Something else. Oh yeah, I was reminded. So I was talking to a guy recently, and his father gave him a Leatherman. So he started as an apprentice in a job, in a hands-on job. I can't remember what he originally trained as. I know what he does now, but maybe you'd say electrician. He started, and his father gave him a Leatherman in a leather pouch, and he wears it all the time, and uses it all the time. And his father has now passed, so obviously it has deep significance. He forgot to take it off when he was travelling to the UK. Oh no! For a one-day flight over and back, and of course it's confiscated. It's gone. So I suppose the purpose of the story.
Do they not return it?
No, and they've no facility. So I feel DAA or whoever it is should have a facility where you can pay for a locker, or you can one of two things: either pay. I don't care what it costs. As he said, like the tool was worth. Brand new, the tool was worth 120. He'd pay, now it's now 20 years old. He'd pay 120 just to keep it. So if there was a facility where, I remember another one, which was a girl who had a manicure set, and she was going to a course in the UK, a 3-day course in the UK, and the manicure set was a couple of €100. But because she was only going over for a short trip, she was bringing it on as hand luggage. It's gone. Now, when I say gone, where does it end up?
Yeah.
God only knows. Yeah. But if
you'd
they
imagine there's a business model there.
Yeah, if they had a padded envelope or a locker that could securely store it, and it doesn't matter what it costs because you at least have the choice. It's the injustice of saying, if someone said to him, €50, you can collect it when you come back, he'd happily pay it. Anyway, sorry, rant over. Well, sorry, first rant of the slot over.
Kenny Jacobs of the DAA, if you're listening, well, actually, he's got a lot on his plate at the moment. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Anne-Marie in Mullingar asks the first question. She says her sister's 4-year-old locked herself in the upstairs bathroom at the weekend, and you can imagine the panic that ensued. So she's wondering, is there an easier way to open the locked door without having to burst it, damaging the door jamb as well?
And hopefully not damaging the 4-year-old, because the doors almost invariably open in. And, if you're forcing open a door, it takes a bit of force. And does the door, go in with force and maybe hit the 4-year-old who, mightn't, if they follow the instructions to stand well back, that's fine. But if they don't, you could do damage. So we'd often get people in and they're painting doors at home and maybe replacing the door handles. And I'd always say, if you're replacing your door handles, just on the bathroom door, replace the bathroom door lock with a bathroom lock, and then get bathroom handles. So you have 10 doors in the house, you're coming in to get 10 new pairs of handles, and I would say, what you do, get 9 pairs of ordinary handles and 1 pair of bathroom handles and replace the lock. So the lock will cost you 10, 12, 15 euros. And the handles will be, the bathroom handles are marginally more expensive than ordinary handles. But it means instead of turning a key in the lock, you turn a little thumb turn. And then on the outside, you have access with a coin or a screwdriver. So same as you'd have in bathrooms in... Actually, if you're building a new house, that's automatically what happens. Same as you'd have in bathroom in hotels. Somebody faints, some child locks themselves in, the key breaks in the lock, which has happened sometimes. Then, in this case, obviously, you've just turned a little knob on the inside, and on the outside, you can just open it with a screwdriver. And it's a marginal extra cost, and it can save a lot of work. And the other thing to say in relation to kicking in a door, I was delivering something to a house lately. So a lady who lives there on her own, and she asked me to look at something in one of the rooms. She damp on the wall. She said, would I come in and look at it? But it was a bedroom that she didn't use. So she goes down to the bedroom and she gets a key and she opens the bedroom door. And I nearly said her name. We'll call her Mary. I said, oh God, Mary, don't lock internal doors in the house. When you're away anyway, don't lock internal doors in the house. Because if you had a break-in, exactly like this caller with the bathroom, if you had a break-in, they'll kick in every door. Like there was nothing of value in the bedroom. Nothing.
Yeah.
So now the logic of locking it when she was in the house was that if somebody broke in through a window, they were only in that bedroom and they couldn't get any further. So I get that. But if you're leaving the house and God forbid, you have a break-in, once they're in the house and if you don't have an alarm, they'll kick in every door and do thousands potentially euros of damage.
Make it as hard as possible for them to get in.
Yeah.
But when they're in, accept that you want them to do as little damage as possible.
Correct. Yeah.
Sadie has sent a picture of locks that she's using. She's wondering, is this the variety you're talking about? Little twisty, knobby thing?
She's absolutely spot on. So that is what's known as a privacy or bathroom lock. And as you see
that
there,
is the technical term, isn't it?
Yes.
Little twisty knobby thing.
Yes, little twisty knobby thing. Also sometimes called a privacy or bathroom handle.
I see. Now, 083 30 10 103. Text and WhatsApp your question for Brian Cloonan from Cloonan's Hardware in Tullamore. It could be worth €50 to spend at Don Stores with thanks to Barry at Barry Martin Motors in Mullingar. His new car sale is coming in January. He's got over 60 different vehicles in stock. It's 28 minutes to 11.
Mr. Fix-It with a Bedshed Kilbeggan. Quality, choice and value you can't beat. With over 80 beds, headboards and mattresses to suit all budgets. Find the Bedshed on Facebook and Instagram.
You, Mr. Cloonan, are not allowed visit Doon this coming Friday.
All right.
Do you know why?
No.
Well, they're turning on the Christmas lights.
Okay.
And it's happening.
I like Christmas lights.
At 6:30.
Okay.
Okay, Friday the 12th,
Yes.
6:30. Remember that, okay?
That's PM, I presume.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the official turning on at Doon Crossroads. But it says all children have to be supervised by an adult. So I don't think you qualify.
Or to be a child again.
Sarah in Durrow asks, how would you get rid of mice above a ceiling where there isn't an attic and there's no room for a mouse trap?
So a couple of options. One is you could plug in a pest repeller. We normally don't recommend them for getting rid of mice. We recommend them for keeping mice out. So as a preventative rather than a cure. But we do get people who say when they plug them in, the mouse gets more active. So it could be good to have him more active to get him out of that area.
Why would he get more active?
He doesn't like that's why he doesn't, when you plug it in, you make life uncomfortable for them. So they say, you know what, we won't stay here, we'll go somewhere else. But once they're in, it's much more difficult to get them out. But sometimes people find that it kind of drives them a bit mad, a bit scatty, and they can run around a lot more.
But they don't necessarily find the exit.
Correct. So the hope would be that by plugging it in, you might just push them to a different area. So look, what you're always doing is looking for mouse droppings. They nearly always come in through pipework. If you can't get a trap up there, I normally don't recommend using poison in the house. But look, if there's no other way of getting them out, if they're noisy overhead, they're really handy to use. The little pasta tea bags. They're like a tea bag. They don't call them. They're pasta bait, they're called. But they're like a little tea bag. And the beauty of them is they're sweet and they have moisture in them. And they're the two things that mice go for. But the other beauty is that you could make the slightest hole, be it from above or from below, and put this up. It's like a tea bag. You'll get into a very small space. So even taking off a light fitting and seeing is there a larger hole for the cable, or look for pipe work and see can you slide it in beside the pipe work and hope that they will take it. That's probably what I would do in that case, because they do create, I mean, we always talk about it. We get people every week during the winter absolutely adamant that it's too noisy to be a mouse upstairs. It has to be a rat. And of course, 99.9% of the time, it's a mouse. But it's a mouse with hobnail boots, because they just make so much noise. And particularly in the still of the night, when everything is quiet, those noises just reverberate through the house and they sound so noisy.
And you've just given so many people the heebie-jeebies.
Sorry.
Hi, Brian and Will. I recently replaced my hall and bedroom carpets, and I've pieces of carpet left over, some of which could suit as mats. Can you suggest anything I can apply to prevent the mat from turning up at the edges? I know I can get them stitched professionally, by the way, but that could be as expensive as buying new mats.
Yeah, so if you're going to do a few of them, the cheapest way to do it is to get, you'd be familiar, you're a motorhead.
Cheapskate. Oh,
yes, that too. Sorry, A, you're a cheapskate. B, you're a motorhead. So do you know the black silicone mesh mat that you would put in on your dash to stop things sliding?
Yes,
you might put,
yes.
So if you get a roll of double-sided tape and cut that mat up and stick it all around the edges, it means the mat will not budge at all. It won't move at all. And it's also infinitely less likely to curl up at the edges, because that's slightly more firm than the mat. But the other thing just to look at is it a case that the mat is going to fray at the edge? That's why you'd be getting it stitched. So if it's a synthetic carpet, which most of them are nowadays, what you could consider getting is, you can buy in, lots of people have them for in the kitchen for creme brulees, a tiny little blowtorch. So you can buy a little, some people buy them for lighting stoves or lighting boilers. It's a little blowtorch, I think it's a £5, and you would burn the edges of the mat. So you just bring it outside to the garage and just sit it up on an edge and just run the blowtorch along the edge of the mat, and all the edge will shrivel up ever so slightly. You won't see it with the naked eye, but it's enough to stop fraying and unravelling. So I do that first, and then put on either, you can buy anti-slip double-sided pads for under the carpet, but you can make your own. If you're doing a number of them, you can make your own a lot cheaper.
Martin constructively suggests getting a cat for the person who has the mice in the attic.
Well, it's not in the attic is the problem. This was the problem, if I understood that correctly. There is no attic. It's the space between the ceiling and the rafters overhead, and that's where the mouse is running around.
And trust me, as the owner of 2 cats, if it is possible to own a cat...
Yes, you don't. As the pet of 2 cats, or what? Of the servant.
Servant.
You are the servant of 2 cats. Yeah.
Yes, well, 3 actually now. And I can absolutely assure you there are still mice roaming around.
Right.
They find their way in at this time of year.
Absolutely. And sometimes we get people in the shop and they're almost embarrassed to say the mouse, as if they have mice, as if somehow it's a reflection on how clean the house is, and it's not at all.
It's not. It's a reflection of how warm the house is.
Exactly. They're coming in for heat, and I don't think there's any house in the country that doesn't get mice at some stage. And I know some people, have phobias, but every house will get it at some stage. It was funny, we had mice in the shop this year, so we had work going on in the premises nearby, and I suspect, I don't know why, we should have them more often, where we got mice for the first time in 10 years.
So you're blaming your neighbours?
No. Yes.
You just did?
Yes, okay. But it's funny, where most people would be horrified at having mice, we thought this was great, because we tested every mouse trap, every bait. It was absolutely... So you'd literally have 5 or 6 different traps, all done, different traps, different baits, which worked best, and it was comical. One of the lads
and
in the
withdrew
shop,
from the shelves the one that were ineffective, yeah?
Yes, yeah. Because that was the purpose of it. That was the beauty of it. We could say, no, that's the one we're going to sell from now on. And actually one I gave back. I gave a box back to a guy, because I said, look, and then we found... So we would weigh up loose vegetable seed. So we had a very small little weights. And we found then, so I decided to test what weight, and this particular trap which the mouse was able to take the bait off. And when you put a little weight on all the other traps, they snapped. When you put the same weight on this trap, it would sustain the weight.
Not sensitive enough.
Not sensitive enough. A bit like you, just no sensitivity whatsoever.
I won't ask you which one was best, because you'd end up promoting a particular brand. But which bait was most effective?
On the sensitive traps, peanut butter. And you'll think I'm joking, but the chunky peanut butter for some reason seemed to work better. I know it's nuts, but that's the smell. They can smell that across the room. So that's why I'd often say to people, if they don't want to buy a bar of peanut butter, just buy a Snickers bar, because it has the caramel, the chocolate, the peanut butter inside, and you can slice a small bit off of the traps and happily eat the rest yourself.
0818 300 103 is the Midlands 103 comment line. Send your question to us on text either by doing this.
Mr. Fix-It with the Bed Shed Kilbeggan. Need a new bed or mattress? Our helpful and experienced team will be only too happy to guide you to the best choice for you. Find the Bed Shed on Facebook and Instagram.
You stop distracting me.
You're easily distracted. I was telling him to clean. It looks like he's half his breakfast on his pullover. And it's just not the look for the managing director of, is it 4 radio stations?
I thought you were going to say it's not the look for the radio. In fairness, both of us are gifted with faces for radio.
For radio, absolutely. 100%.
If you're just joining us, that is the voice of Brian Cloonan from Cloonan's Hardware in Tullamore. In the next hour, Enoch Burke and Justice Brian Cregan clashing again. Also, Athlone taking part in the Living City initiative. But it's not a city, so what is that? And is a veggie burger an actual burger? Should they be allowed to call it a burger? The burning issues of the day, Brian. Now,
once it has the word veggie in it, surely no one can mistake it for a meat burger if it says veggie.
Well, let's just wait and have that debate in a few minutes' time. Hilda suggests a simple mixture, an organic mouse poison,
all right,
would be to mix baking soda with peanut butter. She says, I won't go into the detail of how it works at this time of the morning, but it won't harm the neighbourhood cats. I'll put it that way.
Wow.
All right. Next, what would you use to clean the inside of a brown PVC door that you want to paint white, and it would have been polished with Mr. Sheen?
Right, so Mr. Sheen contains silicone, which is really, really slippy. So if you had a child's slide at home and it's not slippy enough, you'd go out and spray Mr. Sheen on it because you'd have it in the house, and it makes the slide really, really slippy. And so it's like putting on a coat of Vaseline onto the door. And of course, if you tried to paint over Vaseline, it just won't grip. Well, paint will not stick to silicone at all. So really important, you wash it down really well. I would say get a nylon scouring pad and a bottle of methylated spirits, and only do a portion at a time, because methylated spirits evaporates practically immediately. So it's rub with the meths, and then immediately with a rag wipe it off. And I would probably then give it the slightest rub with a superfine sandpaper. You'll get it in a motor factories or a hardware shop or builders providers. I'd say about a 600 grade, so it's super fine. And then do it again with the meths, because you want this job to last. And then either use one of the universal paints, Super Deck or Rust-Oleum, the universal paint, because they don't need a primer. They grip really well and they don't need a primer. Because if you get a primer, you're going to have to go white primer and then at least 3 coats of the finish coat to cover the white. But with the other, just 2 coats will do it.
A pensioner who lives on their own is wondering if it's wise to lock your bedroom door at night time.
Yeah, so this is what I was saying. There's a definite merit when you're in the house and living on your own in locking all the spare bedroom doors, including your own bedroom door, because lock the bedroom door so that if somebody did get into the house, if they broke in through, the spare bedroom window, now they're only in the bedroom and that door opens in. It's very hard to force open a door that opens in. You can't kick it from that side. So there's definitely merit in locking doors if you're living on your own. I'd personally lock every door. But the big thing is have an alarm.
Is there any downside from a fire escape point of view?
Yes, because you're going to be slower to get out. Exactly. That is the whole thing. But if you leave a key... Now, you see, this is the thing. If you leave a key in your bedroom door, you'll get out quicker. But if you leave a key in your bedroom door and you became unwell and somebody has to try and get into your bedroom, it's hard to get in if there's a key already in the door. But look, I can't emphasize...
which is your higher priority, you
exactly.
have to decide, yeah.
But look, a good alarm system, if you can afford one, I thoroughly recommend it. I personally think anybody over the age of 50 living on their own would benefit from having one of the panic watches that, the panic alarms on your wrist. They are absolutely fantastic.
These are the smartwatches that sense if you've fallen.
No. This is just a little wrist strap that if you have an issue, you press the button on your wrist, and it will call. There's a box in the hall that calls out your name, and if you don't answer, it then starts ringing phone numbers. So it'll ring. So it definitely saved my father's life at least twice. So he'd push the button, and he was on the floor in the bathroom, but he pushed the button, and he was in the bathroom. The speaker in the hall, even though they were saying, "Paddy, are you okay?" He couldn't hear it. It was too far away. So then they started ringing a pre-assigned set of numbers. And if they didn't get an answer to, say, the 4 numbers or the 3 numbers, then they ring the ambulance or the emergency services. It's a great system, I have to say.
You said over 50s should consider.
Well,
this. There will be people scoffing at that.
No, I'd say anybody who lives in there. Like, I was going to climb a ladder last night, and I said, no, there's no one home. I won't do this now when there's no one around. Because if you have a fall and you're there on your own, it's not a good idea. So now the other thing to remember, and so many of us nowadays have smartwatches. So don't forget, if you have a smartwatch and you say, "Hey, SIRI, phone 999, it will. But sometimes you need to practice that a little bit. So sometimes you need to say, "Hey, phone Will Faulkner."
You're being very conscientious.
Well, I just don't want to say it and have this thing phone 99.
And everybody listening.
Go on.
Hey Siri.
Oh, yeah.
Hey Siri.
Yeah. No, I was only thinking of it happening here. Oh, God, yes.
120,000 Siris just went off.
So, I never thought of that. Wow.
Joe in Offaly says he shakes cumin and black pepper in areas where he suspects there's a mouse. Hasn't had any problems for ages.
Wow.
I suppose it irritates them as much as it would irritate you. When you think about it,
it's the
pepper up the nose, not pleasant.
It's the Will Faulkner of deterrence then. It's highly irritating.
Thanks, Cloonan. Mary Kate says there are black marks after appearing on the ceiling where it meets the wall. On one of the walls in our bedroom and also on our youngest child's bedroom. We've been 14 years in the house. This hasn't been a problem. I wonder, did they get it insulated?
Yeah, so this often happens after insulation. So look, there's so many houses have cold patches. And the more you insulate a house successfully, if there's a patch that's not successfully done, you will get condensation there. So this is quite common where people have extra insulation. They've got the walls pumped. They've done the attic.
Mary Kate just text, insulated this summer.
There you go. Yeah. So there's a cold patch. Not the end of the world, but just don't allow it to spread. So kill the mould, wash it off, and then reapply the mould killer to stop it coming back. If you feel
what
you can
about
get
the cold patches? That fixable?
It can be very hard. So there are various reasons. It's usually that the insulation just can't get to that point. So if it's on the ceiling, you might get up into the attic and see, can you push the insulation down a bit further? If it's on the wall, very hard to get that, to deal with that, because it's only a very small patch. It's only a very small area, but it is proportionally colder, and particularly if it's on an east or north facing wall. So you may find the 2 rooms that she's mentioning, one of those the one wall of each room is on a north or east facing wall. So it's kind of perennially cold. It's not getting the sun. It's always colder than the rest of the room. You get a little bit of condensation. You don't notice the condensation, but the problem is it's continually damp and mould starts to grow. And once it starts to grow, it just spreads and spreads and spreads. So head it off by killing it, washing off, and then spray on a preventative to stop it coming back.
Brian, our time is up.
Thanks, Will.
Let's do it again next Wednesday, 10:20.
If you say so.
And you'll find him at Cloonan's Hardware in Tullamore in the meantime. David Hollywood brings you the final hour of the programme. The news at 11 is next, including how you can have your say on the use of Garda body cams.